In today's video, I want to talk about a prophecy. I know that this might sound a bit different to my usual content, but I promise you it is related. And if you hang around to the end of the video, I will show you footage of where this prophecy is playing out across the world at the moment. This prophecy was outlined by various different ancient cultures across the world. The Hindus spoke about it with the end of the Kali Yuga. The Hopis prophesized at this times that we're living in now, and so did the Mayans, and it was even mentioned in the Bible. The Mayan part of the prophecy is probably the most famous part because most people know that the Mayan calendar ended in 2012, and everyone was freaking out thinking that the world was going to end because the Mayan calendar ended, and actually nothing happened, or so we thought. More modern mystics also spoke about these times, such as Dolores Cannon. She was a famous hypnosis regressionist. So she would take people under hypnosis and almost speak to their subconscious, and they were all saying the same thing. The Law of One teachings from Ra were in the 1970s. They also predicted a similar thing. So these various different cultures and their prophecies pointed towards the times that we are living in now as being almost like a kind of rapture. Right, but not in a fire and brimstone type of way, but just in a simple sorting, almost like separating the wheat from the chaff. So this prediction, or this prophecy, stated that the world would be sifting off into two different realities or two different dimensions, the 3D and the 5D. So the 3D timeline is the same as the one that we've been existing on, and it will continue to evolve as more wars, more separation, more domination, more oppression and violence, pollution, Elon Musk's brain chips and digital IDs and stuff like that. So that's the 3D timeline. But then there's this other timeline called the 5D timeline, which is the more natural version of reality, which will be more heart-centered, more focused on community and healing and liberation and truth. So obviously everyone wants to be on the 5D timeline because you can tell, I mean, you just have to look around you. The world is clearly a lot more chaotic than it has been. Something's happening, but a lot of people don't want this anymore. So most people who are following this prophecy and aware of this prophecy want to be aligned with the 5D timeline. But something I think is a little bit unfair about the teachings around this prophecy, especially the modern teachings, is that a lot of the high profile spiritual teachers are not going into enough depth about one particular aspect of this prophecy that will outline what timeline you're on. They are skirting around it, they are touching on the issue, but they are not being direct with it. And I feel like it's going over most people's heads, and I don't think that's fair. So I want every piece of the puzzle to be out there. No judgment, no separation. This isn't us versus them or anything like that. This is just truth. Us humans tend to be quite a self-absorbed species. We literally think the entire world revolves around us, despite the fact that we are one of millions of different species that exist on this planet. And if the world is splitting off into two different timelines, it's not just going to affect us, it's going to affect every single animal on this planet today. So the spiritual teachers are telling people, you know, if you want to align with the 5D timeline, then make sure you meditate every day, make sure you think loving thoughts, make sure you are kind, and you're aware of oneness, and you're focused on the interconnectedness of everything, and help old ladies cross the road, and all that stuff. And they are neglecting to mention what you put on your plate and what you wear, and your consumer choices, the consumer choices that you make every single day. So I feel like I just got that one in there quickly because all of the spiritual bypassers would have clicked off there. So if you're still with me after that point, congratulations, you're aligned with truth, and you're not going to bypass anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, because that's not what this is about. It's not about only feeling fluffy love and light and sunshine and rainbows, whilst paying for horrific things to happen to others who are 100% aligned with the 5D timeline. The cows, pigs, chickens, fishes, sheep, they are 5D Earth. I mean, a lot of these people who are talking about this prophecy are referring to the 5D Earth as Eden. These animals are Eden. If you want to be aligned with Eden, you need to align yourself with the animals, with the beings who are Eden. So far, what the animals have gone through, or what humans have put other animals through on the 3D timeline, has been hell on earth. We have created a hellscape for the other beings that we share this planet with. Most people will think, well, I'm not responsible for that. I'm just paying for it. And it's not about what I put in my body, it's about my vibration. A lot of them say that. It's not about what you put in your mouth, it's about who you are. Yes, exactly. It is about who you are. It is about your attitude towards others. How do you view others? Do you see yourself as so superior to other beings that you are entitled to pay hitmen to force them into gas chambers and torture them to death, so that you can chew on something that you like the taste of, or have a pair of shoes, or a type of lipstick that someone was tormented for while it was tested on? As long as you have that view of domination, that view of superiority, that view of separation, that does still keep you in line with the 3D timeline. Again, I'm not being judgmental. I can tell a lot of people are going to be emotional about this, angry, saying that I'm judging you. I'm still aligned with 3D for thinking about these things. Like, the animals choose this. Plants have feelings. Like, look, plants they're alive. Yes, they are living things, but they do not have families. They do not have a brain or a central nervous system. They do not have nerve endings. They don't feel pain or fear. Animals do. We are animals. And they feel exactly the same as we do. Now, going back to the Ra teachings and the law of one, Ra stated in these teachings that those on the 3D timeline will be people who are living predominantly over 50% in service to self. And those who are aligned with the 5D timeline will be predominantly over 50% living in service to others. Now, helping an old lady across the road, volunteering at soup kitchen is all well and good because you want to be aligned with the 5D timeline. But when you subject others to horrific suffering that none of us can even comprehend, because you like the taste of their flesh, that is an act of service to self. Sorry, it is. And if you're doing that every time you eat, or every time you make a consumer choice, you are predominantly living in service to self. So the spiritual teachers who are currently talking about this are saying things like, you might notice your diet changing. You may want to avoid heavy meats.
Because one thing, if you want to change your vibration and frequency, you have to get away from heavy foods. That holds you to the earth, especially heavy meats.
They're talking about it from a dietary perspective, right? And it's a choice. You may want to do that, or you may not. It's fine. They're not talking about it from the perspective of the victims of this choice. And it is them who hold the key to which timeline you're on, whether you're on the 3D or the 5D timeline. It's not about what you put in your body. It's about who you are. Yes, it is about who you are. It is about how you treat others. It's about how you treat the most vulnerable, those who have absolutely no way to defend themselves against you. How you are engaging in a behaviour that most people are engaging in, even though it causes immense suffering and exploitation. Most people are doing it. Maybe what if that is the test? What if that is the ultimate separation of the wheat from the chaff? Which timeline you're on, if you're on the 3D or the 5D, is your consumer choices. But one question I do want you to think is, if you are not vegan and you believe you are aligned with this 5D Eden version of Earth, which equally spiritual Christ consciousness human is going to be cutting animals' heads off for you all day long in the 5D Eden version of Earth? Where will the slaughterhouses be? Will there be slaughterhouses in Eden? If the 5D timeline means peace and liberation, it means peace and liberation for all, not just for humans. I think the thing that excites me the most about this is there is no version of Earth that animal agriculture does not end, or animal exploitation does not end. But in the different versions, it ends for different reasons. Because the animals are coming to the 5D timeline. The animals are 5D. They are pure innocence. The animals that we typically exploit are gentle, they are peaceful beings, and they have lived for cycles of hell caused by humans. There is 100% no doubt that they are on the 5D timeline, because these animals are Eden. In the 3D timeline, animal exploitation will end because of environmental destruction. Maybe there will be so many environmental disasters, or the air will be unbreathable because animal agriculture is obviously one of the leading causes of planetary destruction. So people on that timeline will be forced to stop exploiting animals, and they'll be eating, I don't know, lab-grown meat or whatever. The 5D timeline, people will be vegan just because it is the right thing to do. So animal exploitation will end in that version of Earth because everyone will be vegan and everyone will respect animals. But the thing is, if you think, oh, well, I'll just wait, I'll carry on paying for eggs, meat, dairy, leather, wool, etc. And then eventually it'll end, and I'll just carry on the 5D timeline. Because it's the choices that you make now. We are at a pivotal time with the choices that we make now determining which timeline that we're on. So watch Dominion documentary on YouTube to view the full extent of how we treat other animals on this planet, and then choose whether you want to align with that, whether you want to be responsible for that, or whether you want to be part of the movement that liberates other animals and heads towards the 5D Earth, the new Earth, as the Bible called it. So thank you very much for listening to my 2 pence on this prophecy and this supposed timeline split that we are currently in. And I'm just going to end the video now with evidence of the 5D Earth, some footage of what this new Earth, this Eden version of Earth, will look like, and where it's currently springing up all over the planet. So thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.